ACC on ESPN. Today we're in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, the bell tower in the foreground as we get set for North Carolina and Syracuse inside Dorn. Some of the greatest players of all time coaching in this game. You got Gary Gates facing his old nemesis, Joe Bresci, and of course Dave Petramala, part of the festivities as an assistant for Syracuse on Senior Day today in North Carolina. Alongside Paul Carcaterra, I'm Chris Cotter. Hello, everybody. And this game is very meaningful for both teams as we look forward to Selection Sunday. That's 3 weeks from tomorrow.
I think both of these teams, Cotter, need to win out. They need to take care of business today, obviously. And you look at these teams, North Carolina's 7-4. They play Notre Dame and Duke. That would get them in if they win their remaining 3 games. Syracuse is 4-7. You might be laughing. How could they make the playoffs? Well, if they win today and they win their final 2 against Virginia and Notre Dame, they're 7-7. They're playoff eligible. They're a bubble team, but they're in the conversation.
In the conversation for Tewaaraton Award is Chris Gray. He has lived up to all the billing since arriving a couple of years ago here in North Carolina. He's a one-man gang.
He's terrific. I mean, he creates offense on his own with tremendous skill. But when he gets teammates involved, this offense goes to a completely different level. He throws a diagonal pass across the offensive zone as well as anyone, and he gets teammates involved. This Heels offense hasn't been at their best. Gray needs more support.
Got to get help from others. There's Chris Gray, and you talk about where he is as far as all-time scorers. He's right near the top.
15 away from being #1 all by himself. The great Lyle Thompson at 400. 2-time Tewaaraton winner from Albany.
It's more of a two-headed monster with Syracuse. They've been beset by injuries, so that means Tucker Dordevic down low and Brendan Curry at midfield got to carry the load.
You talk about the flair for dramatic. Dordevic has been a human highlight reel. He can get 15 to 20 shots off in his sleep. Automatic offense. Brendan Curry does it with blinding speed with the left hand from up top and equally effective dodging with his right. These two are kind of old-school throwback Cuse lacrosse players that could play in any era.
Facing off today will be Jacob Fopp, who's going to take about 1 million face-offs this year. He is a one-man gang at that face-off X for Syracuse, and he's had a really good year. Meanwhile, for North Carolina, you're going to see a combination of guys because they've had a lot of injuries. Zach Tucci is going to start the game for the Heels.
Zach Tucci and Andrew Tyre a week ago when I was down in Charlottesville, both had lower leg injuries, were hobbling around. You watch number 7 in blue when he runs off the field. It's not even a run. It's barely a jog.
And the first possession of the day belongs to the Syracuse Orange. Tucker Dordevic, number 23, with the ball in his cross. He's obviously going to be a focal point for this North Carolina defense, and they've got Evan Egan on him, who's one of the defenders who's been banged up all year for North Carolina, 22 in the game, so 22 on 23. We'll watch that matchup.
Yeah, and another big game day sigh of relief for the Tar Heels is Matt Wright, 20 in blue. He's their best defender. He's a player that creates offense in transition for the Heels as well.
North Carolina gets free and scores early. Syracuse, rather. A surprise as they jump on the board in their first offensive possession, and it's Jacob Buttermore. They need to get production from a lot of these other pieces at midfield, and they start already on a good note today.
This is a big-time move by Buttermore in terms of hitting the back of the net because he's a lefty. They scout him as a lefty, right? So they force him to go to his right, and he just uses that pick, right? That pick gives him that extra step right here. Curry drops the pick, and that frees up his hands. But Buttermore is a left-handed player. A couple seasons ago, he had 20 goals. He's been nicked up. He had a knee injury that really slowed his start in 2022. But if you have him and Lucas Quinn supporting Dordevic and Curry, then the offense evolves.
Buttermore's 6th of the year. Now Tyre taking the draw for North Carolina. Wait for officials' call. The North Carolina ball, and Chris Gray will put it in play.
The matchup that we're watching on this side of the field, Gray, 4 in blue. Brett Kennedy, 11 in orange, who I think has been fantastic this season. He was a long stick midfielder the last 3 seasons. Coach Petro, the defensive coordinator, bumps him down low. He's answered the bell. Like he's had to defend big-time offensive players. I think it's shown his versatility, and it benefits him down the stretch in terms of his pro prospect.
Carolina's got the advantage. Oh, quick pass inside and a score with the shovel. Dewey Egan who gets the start. Now, we talked about Evan Egan as a defender. His younger brother, not small, not, we talk about big brother. Dewey's the bigger of the brothers. Yeah. He's huge at that attack line, but he got the start today, and it pays off immediately for Coach Bresci. He's one of the top recruits in the land a season ago. And when he decided to follow his brother to North Carolina, you were getting a big physical presence with soft hands. I watched him play in high school. Like, this guy is not one of those players that just uses his size to his advantage. He has the skill set as well. I mean, you watch his highlight tapes from high school. I saw him play against big-time competition behind the backs. Those shovel-type shots. He has creativity in his game. Lance Tillman with a nice find right on the doorstep, and we're even at 1 apiece. Fought with the face-off win. With both of these teams, Kark, you get the feeling that somebody else other than Dordovic and Curry for Syracuse and Gray for North Carolina is going to have to win the game for your team, and we're already seeing that with the first 2 goals. Spot on, Cotter. Mikey Berkman working on a shorty. Advantage there for Syracuse, but he misses the cage. It'll stay with the orange. Paul Barton on Curry at this point. 24. He's Harris Barton's kid. As you see Colin Krieg's numbers, he's been outstanding. He's been incredible. You look at his stopping ability for a player that doesn't have the greatest defense in front of him. Good ball movement right off what sounded like a chest play to Krieg, high in the air, and it's going to go out of bounds. Curry wins the race to it, stays with Syracuse. That was Dordovic, 23 in orange. That's with the right hand. I guarantee you will see today on the opposite side of the field, he will shoot with the same velocity. I don't know if there's a player in college lacrosse that brings heat with both hands from distance like Tucker Dordovic does. Now Seabold. Really need to get more from him out of that attack spot. Right's on him as he tries to curl in. Not the best shot in the world, but he knew he had backup. It looked like they were shutting Tucker Dordovic off with a short stick, and then when it goes out of bounds here, he was going to go for the ball. They put the long stick. Evan Egan, Dewey's smaller, older brother. Yeah. Tried to get it in front to Seabold, couldn't do it. Dordovic, though, was able to pick it up. Egan shut the door on him. Now he's on a short stick. This is an advantage for Syracuse. Gets tied up briefly. No flag on the play. Curry, wide of the cage. The blinding speed when Curry drops his foot in the ground and then accelerates. It's like almost automatic that he can get to the middle of the field. There he is on right. Beat him on the outside of the cage. That's interesting to watch. How quick will Wright be with that lower body injury? You see the brace on his right knee. Number 20, will he be able to hang with guys like Curry? We watched him in practice yesterday. He looked good. If you're Joe Bresci, you might not ask Matt Wright to defend Curry with regularity, right? You want to ease him back. You know, he's missed the last month of lacrosse, essentially. But I credit North Carolina. The stagnant offense the last few games just haven't been able to produce offensively. Putting Egan in at the attack just shows me their willingness when the season's on the line, right, to shake things up, and that's much needed. 10 goals in their last 2 games coming in. Here's a player they need to get more from, too. When you talk about Jacob Kelly. Tillman on his knees. Went into the crease, though, accidentally, and it'll be a turnover. Yeah, when you dodge from behind, you watch Lance Tillman, 0 in blue. You want to get close to the crease because you want the defender to have to think of the back pipe, right, and have to jump over it. He's just a little too close. This North Carolina right. Chris Gray's going to steal it. He's going to get an easy goal. That is an unforced error that if you're a Syracuse Orange team, you just cannot commit those types of mistakes. Number 4 is riding. He's going to kill you. The best attackman in the country ride the hardest. Chris Gray didn't even have to ride hard on that one. If you watch the Orange, the self-destruction over the course of the season, it's been plays like this. Just unacceptable, right? You have to make that pass. And also, if you think that it's a tough one there, the last thing you want to do as a defender is to throw it to the middle of the field. Because if you don't connect there, easy, too easy for Chris Gray. 40th goal of the year. That might have been the easiest one for him. He now has a 51-game point streak dating back to his days at BU. As consistent as you can get. Alex Bresci now, the nephew of Coach Joe Bresci, number 88. Part of this experienced rope unit that North Carolina will throw out there defensively, getting possession.
Hear from him at halftime. Talks about his family and the Carolina tradition. He was great to spend time with. And his father, Chuck, played in the early 90s. Same hairstyle as Alex, same kind of demeanor.
Right.
Tough guys, too, man. Roll their sleeves up, get it done.
Tillman looking up top. Here's Gray. Kelly. Quick passing. Tried to get it to Solomon and just couldn't click it. But here's Gray tracking it down. Now with the defender down, that might be an advantage North Carolina. That was a tough pass. Picked off by Rosa. Now he's on his horse.
He's back in the lineup. Syracuse has had a ton of injuries. Not to say that their season would be completely different, right? Definitely was a question heading into the season in terms of their depth. So when you have injuries with lack of depth,
right,
it's tough sailing. I thought the injury to Owen Hiltz in the Michigan scrimmage was catastrophic for this offense, because he could have been a glue guy to play with Curry and Dordovic, and a great compliment, because Hiltz, a lot like Chris Gray, doesn't need to beat his man to be very productive. Bit of a chameleon.
This guy right here, 26 for Syracuse, was injured as well. Lucas Quinn, this is his first action in a few weeks. They lost Griffin Cook, one of the starting midfielders for the year as well. And look at Jackson Burtwhistle, number 9 in the game. High, and no problem that time for Krieg.
You know, Quint Kesenick and I talk about Krieg, and Carolina had a lot of holes to fill defensively. You'd be hard-pressed to find a natural better stopper than Krieg in this country. He is a terrific young goalie. He will steal shots, and his demeanor is incredible as well. Looks like that might be on Syracuse with... It was an offside when the ball was on the ground. That's why there was no possession there. Otherwise, it would have been a penalty, because North Carolina had the ball.
Yeah,
there's no time served. Yeah, loose ball. We're playing 6-on-6. So
here's Henry Schertzinger, one of the Schertzinger twins. Second midfield line getting some work. On the ground initially with Tillman. Now he picks it up. Will Nicholas as well. He's been banged up much of the year. 34, finally getting into game shape. Seen him, his minutes go up over the last couple of weeks. Egan. See how big he is, going on a short stick. Now he'll shoot. Gavin was there. First time we've really mentioned Bobby Gavin's name. They need him to step up.
Not the greatest shot by Dewey Egan, but he showed me something there. You know, he was able to soak a check because of his size, get above goal line extended by dipping that shoulder. And I think if you could put another dodging presence around Chris Gray, it just opens up the offense.
Syracuse gets the ball across the midfield line. Now they have an opportunity at 3-on-2. Krieg does a nice job of steering it aside. Race to the end line. Won by North Carolina. Much to the appreciation of the crowd here today. A great crowd at Dorrance today to watch this matchup. Senior day here at North Carolina.
How sick is this facility, right? This place is
We walked the field before the game. The grass is in immaculate condition.
Racetrack.
Great facilities for both men's and women's lacrosse here, too, when you talk about the weight rooms and the offices and whatnot.
Not to mention the weather's pretty good in Chapel Hill, right?
It's a perfect day today, too.
Women's team #1 in the country, led by head coach Jenny Levy. She's got a couple national titles to her credit as well.
Carolina up here early, 2-1. Syracuse broke the scoreboard initially, but the Heels have scored the last 2. Kelly over to the veteran Nikki Solomon. Kelly hits the pipe, gets his own rebound, couldn't get a shot off as the defense converged, but now Egan is there to finish it off.
He's got 2. Just a freshman, limited playing time. Heading into today's contest, the Heels were struggling to find the back of the net the last few weeks. Well, put in the big top recruit, Dewey Egan. He'll get it done.
College lacrosse is brought to you by Old Spice. Smell ready for anything.
Last year, Chris Gray and the Heels destroyed Syracuse in the Carrier Dome en route to the #1 seed in the NCAA tournament championship weekend appearance. Here you can see the numbers, and they weren't pretty for the Orange.
Oh, Gray feasted. What Gray had last year, though, he had some stretch shooters on the offense, right? Justin Anderson and Will Perry, the fifth-year senior midfielders. I think if Carolina can establish an outside perimeter game from a shooting perspective and dodging, that allows Gray to play within his true skill set.
Another violation on the face-off. It'll go North Carolina's way. Talking to Coach Bresci earlier in the week when we were here at practice, he said, look, I lost my top 5 midfielders from last year. Haven't been able to figure it out yet, so don't be surprised to see guys like Nicky Solomon running out of the box and traditional attackmen now running out of the box, Paul, and trying to give him a little bit of an outside presence.
Well, yeah, you had Dewey Egan playing attack the first few possessions. Now he rotates through the box as a midfielder, kind of just like mix and matching personnel.
And here's Tillman. He's been inverted for much of the day, number 0. Up top to Schertzinger. He'll shoot lefty. No, he doesn't. Keeps it in his cross. Over to Egan. They're shorting Egan, so they're telling North Carolina, hey, if you're going to beat us with Dewey Egan, that's the guy we're going to be happy with you beating us with. Schertzinger now to his left, trying to get open. Bounced it up there, but Gavin was for the task.
And I was mentioning, that's a
big race, hustle, and won by Syracuse.
Hughes closest to the ball off that shot. They'll get possession. And I was mentioning about the perimeter game, whether it's from a dodging standpoint or a shooting standpoint. When you don't have those perimeter threats on the outside, teams are packing it in on Chris Gray, just making it really hard for him to operate.
Syracuse with the successful clear, so Dordovic and Buttermore. Syracuse made their first shot today, Kark. They're 0 for 8 since.
Yeah, you don't want to give Colin Krieg any more confidence.
And Curry rifles it on the run, just wide. And he's down a little bit. He has been a warrior. I mean, so beat up all year, so you hate to see this, as he looks like he's in a pretty good amount of pain. Takes off one of the arm guards and his helmet as well. Down there with Dordovic.
Those two are so close. They've been through so much together. They came in together. And I mentioned off the top, like, these are two players, as Gary Gate looks on, with all the great Syracuse teams of the past, they would find themselves on a starting lineup anywhere. These two are truly incredible players. I've gotten to know both of them as well. Incredible young men. Like, they represent the program the way that you would want.
It's pretty amazing to see both of them down there on one knee. Curry, one of the captains on this team. You can see 3 years a captain.
Yeah, he's
such a rarity here with the Orange.
You talk to him, and I know his father, Todd, who was an incredible player at Syracuse, one of the best midfielders ever. Quality human beings, care about their team, care about their program, care about everyone. You want a Curry on your team.
It's a nice ovation from the crowd here at Dorrance as he runs off on his own power, so that's good. And you can see some of the injuries, and this is just a small snippet in terms of key players that they've lost this season. Hilt's preseason, they haven't had them all year. Quinn and Cook a good part of the year. You get Quinn back today, Cook is gone.
Yeah, and Quinn was out, then back, and then out again, so never really got into the flow of the game. And, you know, you talk about Curry and Dordovic. Quinn came in the same class. He was the highest rated recruit of them all.
Yeah. Here he is. Working on Connor Marr. That's a good matchup, even though it's a shorty. Connor Marr, one of the best short stick defensemen in the country. Siebold fakes up front. Buttermore 4 to shoot. Gonna have to let something go. Doesn't get through. Loose ball picked up by North Carolina. Here come the heels. Barton. Will he take a shot? He will, and he misses the target. Carolina with the substitution patterns. Look out here. Gray shoots and scores. Forget about that. Time and room for him to pick his spots.
Kennedy has to know when Gray's on a wing. If the ball's behind, and Brett Kennedy's had a fantastic season, but when you watch the tape on Chris Gray, his catch and shot ability to catch and to cock it back and let it fly in almost one motion, it's the smoothest thing that you'll see in the sport. So when he's adjacent and the ball's behind and he's on a wing, he's the one guy on the Carolina team you have to cheat to. You always want to start your defense inside out, but the rules don't apply when Chris Gray is on the opposing team. Like, you have to start out on him. You can't be that in tight if you're Brett Kennedy.
Grant Murphy picked up the loose ball, but it ends up in the back of the net as Bresci, on a day when he's the subject of relaxing with Paul Carcaterra, takes advantage of this situation. His 3rd of the year.
Straight toughness, one of the emotional leaders of this team. Your superstar, Chris Gray, absolutely crushes the top portion of the goal. And then about 10 seconds later, Alex Bresci does what he does best. Find a ground ball and advance it upfield. And the advancement, well, that was a shot.
We'll hear from Alex at halftime, relaxing. Talks about playing for his uncle. Good defensive play by Murphy to dislodge it. Here comes Sam Alexo with a full head of steam.
He can shoot.
Instead, he dishes it off to Tucker. He can shoot as well.
Yeah, he can shoot.
Great job defensively by Egan. Loose ball picked up by Berkman. Even with Wright not 100%, you can see if you get Wright and Egan back in there, suddenly this really young defense gets a shot of veteran presence.
Yeah, Egan just injected into the lineup a week ago down in Charlottesville. He's a player. 22 in blue can play. The issue now with Curry on the sideline, we don't know his status just yet. This puts a mountain of pressure on Tucker Dordevic, because when you had Curry, you kind of had to play the top part of the offensive zone with him dodging.
Yeah.
But now you can shift the help to really Tucker Dordevic. Tucker Dordevic only.
Right, you look at that midfield. Corsi, Cordes, Birtwistle. Here's Birtwistle. Number 9, up top, wide open shot. Krieg goes down there to get a piece of it, high in the air. Siebold backs it up, but wow, Krieg is looking sharp.
He's so good, so good. And you know, with all the shellings he's had this year in terms of opponents shooting, his body language never wavers. So locked in.
There's Dordevic on Egan. Gonna try and use a screen. Uses the ball temporarily, but picks it back up. Dordevic spins wide of the target.
You see how hard that shot is, though?
Before you can even see come to a conclusion, you hear it banging against the wall past the end line.
He goes so hard, 23 in orange.
Here's Berkman on Marr. Loses his footing. Now the slide comes. Siebold quickly. Bounce shot. Krieg is there, no problem. Gives chase, but it will stay with Syracuse. Fresh 60 on the shot clock. Magnan spins back to his left. Corsi.
Corsi has Marr, who's been playing a lot of defense, as he had to run back and forth with Berkman. Looks like Marr might be a little tired. If you have that Marr matchup, and Connor Marr is a really, really high-end short stick defensive midfield player, but you got to understand who's gassed here.
Burt whistle. Now he's on Bresci. Tries to spin goal line extended, nothing there. Of course he can't handle the pass. Kennedy will come up, stays onside, and now we'll get it over and back though, unfortunately. Of course he couldn't handle it. And Chris Gray with a great look. Just missing.
You had Lance Tillman and Dewey Egan parked on the left and right-hand side after that Chris Gray feed. Tyler Schwartz.
Substitution patterns complete. Tillman, he's been operating from X for much of the day today. Up top to Solomon. Now Kelly. Early in the year, Kelly, number 9, was the recipient of so many Chris Gray dimes. Just hasn't been finishing like he did in the first month of the year.
Well, I think the scout has changed over the course of the year, too, with, you know, Kelly's a attackman that really can fill it up from the left-hand side, but they just haven't had the outside top portion of their offense really clicking, so he hasn't had those same looks.
Final 7 seconds, shot high. Gavin didn't have to make a save. It'll stay with the heels, but just 3.4 left in this first quarter. Tillman gonna have to do it on his own. Comes topside, and bounce shot in front of the goal mouth harmlessly, and the horn sounds to end this first quarter. Syracuse struck first, Clark, but Carolina answered with 5 straight.
It's senior day. They're playing for purpose, and when you have a senior like Chris Gray, one of the greatest ever to put on the Carolina blue, the freshmen like Dewey Egan, they're all stepping up.
You're watching Old Spice College Lacrosse, part of the ACC on ESPN. Key matchup here today, North Carolina, Syracuse. Heels lead on senior day 5-1 as we head to the second quarter. So North Carolina team, Clark, have scored 10 goals over their last 2 games combined. Talking to Coach Petramala, Syracuse defensive coordinator, before the game, he says, well, teams have tended to get right against us this year, unfortunately, and that's exactly what happened in that first quarter. 5 goals for the Heels alone in that quarter.
And 2 from a freshman in Dewey Egan, who hardly saw any playing time this season. So I think Coach Bresci and Coach Dave Messbauer, they know they need to shake up the offense a little bit and put some players in a position to succeed. I think Dewey Egan, with his size, 6'5", 6'6", he gives you a physical dodging presence to take some pressure off a player like Chris Gray. And yeah, you see the difference in size right there.
Right.
Dewey Egan's a big, big dude.
Here's something interesting, too. North Carolina turning to Graham Schwartz at the faceoff X. You mentioned it before, Clark, how both Andrew Tyre and Zach Tucci are banged up coming into this game. And Fop has been great all year. This is one area where Syracuse can get back in this game. If they can win faceoffs and dominate at the X, they can dominate possession. Yeah,
because Tucci and Tyre, the 1-2 punch, it's one of Carolina's greatest strengths. Well, both are hobbling along.
Right. You get a push in the back here against Schwartz. It'll be Syracuse possession.
You look at Cuse at 4-7. You say, oh, their season's done. If they won today, if they were to beat Virginia next week and then Notre Dame the final week of the season, 7-7. They would have beaten every ACC team. You have to think bubble at least, right?
Yeah, I think they're in the conversation. And obviously a lot would have to do with what teams like Harvard and Brown are doing in the Ivy. A lot would have to do with whether there's a bid stealing situation in the Big East. If Georgetown were to get upset by a Villanova, for example, or a Denver, or if Jacksonville doesn't win the SoCon. But you got to put yourself in the conversation, and in order to do that, you're going to have to win out if you're Syracuse.
Got to be 500.
Dordovic. Wow. How did he get free to score?
He's incredible. I think he has the most aggressive plant foot in college lacrosse. He stops on an absolute dime. And what he does is he gets a defender to bite to the middle of the field, top side, to create that underneath roll. He goes so hard. You see that jab to the top portion, right, to the middle. Everyone, he's dodging hard to the middle of the field. As a defender, you want to close the middle of the field. The problem is his change of direction. is so aggressive, and he gets the defender to flip his hips.
He may have pulled something too, you know? Like, you look at the way he is out there, like he may have pulled something in his midsection.
Tough as nails. And Curry's back on the field, by the way. He was on the field last possession.
Another possession, one on the face-off by Syracuse. Carter Rice will look to clear it. Ball tipped in midfield. Ground ball picked up by Alexo.
This is a Syracuse team that's struggled, right? They're 4-7. I've watched all their games. The one game I thought the effort wasn't there was Notre Dame. Every other game, they've gone down swinging. Like, you can't question their heart.
Coming off an overtime loss at the Carrier Dome Monday. Off the pipe against Cornell. They played a lot of close games. Right. Back toward the goal. Now here's Bresci. Over to Tillman. Here's Kelly. They let him alone. Gavin's forced to make the save, and he makes a good one.
Yeah, that was a good one. Kelly's playing midfield right now, so he's going to get a short stick almost every matchup. Took advantage of it.
Gray always seems to be at the right place at the right time. Was right there to pick up that loose ball and retain possession for the Heels.
Curry stuck on D right now against Nicky Solomon.
Big time advantage for Solomon here. You'll see Kennedy knows it too on the top of the crease. Skip pass. Couldn't take advantage. Cole Herbert. Number one for the Heels. Solomon still on Curry. And he knows it too. He doesn't want to give up the rock. He wants to come topside. Try to get it to Tillman. Kennedy checking him. Long shift for Curry. Kennedy tripped over the back of the goal. Egan. Egan will fire again high and wide, and the target stays with Carolina. 12 seconds left to shoot. Solomon trying to come off a pick. Herbert just fires it into the corner as the shot clock expires. That's a good defensive possession there for Syracuse with Curry on the field.
Yeah, it was a great defensive stand by the Orange. The smart play by Cole Herbert to chuck it in the corner to get his team to substitute and set up their ride.
The Orange looking to clear, and Corsi does just that. Frankenheimer in the game for North Carolina, number 19. On this rope unit. Dordovic. Egan's on him. Takes a shot, man. Krieg goes down low to save it. Dangerous right in front of the goal mount, but he's able to hang on.
You just feel like that's a heavyweight matchup, right? Tucker Dordovic, Colin Krieg. 23 in orange, 39 in blue. Testing each other. The only time I've really seen a player this season successful from deep with consistency against Colin Krieg was Brendan O'Neill a couple weeks ago. He had 7 in this matchup, Duke in North Carolina on this field. He was hammering it from the outside. Outside of that, like, there hasn't been a player that's owned Krieg on multiple shots from that deep.
Schertzinger loses his footing. Whistle on the play. Let's get the call. Looks like we need a timeout here. They gave it to Coach Bresci on that loose ball, I guess. Wow. 10-10 left to go in this first half. 5-2, Carolina on top. It's Coach Bresci. had a good visit with him at practice the other day. Always in good spirits.
Yeah.
Always.
He was out there on the turf in the heat with a sweatshirt, right?
Yeah. Krieg's made 5 saves so far. He's been good. Dewey Egan, the youngster, has a couple of goals for North Carolina. Great, you expect to have a couple of goals, and he does.
Yeah, and you have to think, too. I mean, what's at stake in this matchup if you just joined us? Well, each team's seasons. Listen to Coach Petro.
Make sure the inside guy, we let him know where the ball is, and we get heavy to the ball side, and we fill that backside crease. Right? The other thing is, if they don't roll, if they don't roll, he's not rolling all the way behind. Okay? The scram is sitting right on the backside pipe. All they're trying to do is drag our backside wing down and look through. Okay? Try to split that, right? Find that happy medium. Play with your stick to the inside, your body down the backside. Okay? Right, so now, coming out of the timeout, watch the 1-4-1.
I want to welcome everybody who is watching softball. Chris Cotter, Paul Carcaterra with you. We're in North Carolina where the Heels are up 5-2 over Syracuse. Timeout on the field. You were listening to Syracuse defensive coordinator Dave Petramala barking instructions to his team as they try and claw back into this game. Scored the first goal of the game, Syracuse did. Then North Carolina went on a 5-goal run. Syracuse scoring just moments ago to cut into it.
Yeah, Syracuse, you just joined us, 4-7. 3 games left. You have today, you have Virginia and Notre Dame. If you're 7-7, you're in a bubble conversation. Carolina's 7-4. If they win out, I think they're in good shape for the playoffs. At 10-4 with wins, would be Notre Dame and Duke at the end of the season. I think it's enough. There's a lot at stake.
Chris Gray has got to step on his defender. Unfortunately, it looked like a teammate of his, maybe Schertzinger, got into the crease, and it'll be a turnover. But look at the ride by Gray, causing all kinds of havoc. Picked up by Rice. Let's see if he can get it across the midfield line, and he does.
Yeah, he's got wheels. He's a good-looking freshman athlete. Two-way midfielder in high school, playing the short stick defensive midfield position this season, and I think he's got a lot of upside, 12 in orange.
Clark, you were talking about finishing 500. You have to finish 500 in college lacrosse to be eligible for the NCAA tournament. Here's the thing. Back in the day, if you were 500 an ACC team, you were pretty much a lock to make the tournament. Now, because their record out of conference is not very good this year, their RPI as a conference is not very good, 500 is not a fait accompli anymore.
So hard to put your finger on this season, right?
Right.
I mean, everyone was talking about the Ivy the last few weeks, and what they've done in 2022 is incredible. Well, right now, Army's blitzing Cornell, and Cornell's like the team that's the top of the Ivy, right?
And then we stop talking about Brown, and as soon as you stop talking about them, they get
hammered
2 huge wins in a row.
Yeah, they beat Penn and
Yale.
Yale.
They got to be in the conversation now.
So it's like, okay, we
now
finally think we know what we're talking about.
And Harvard's got a real tough schedule coming up in the Ivies, but if they win 1 or 2 of those games, okay.
They're playing Penn right now.
Penn might not even make the Ivy League tournament. Top 4 teams make it. So there's still a lot of interesting intrigue and great lacrosse to be played in the next 3 weeks before Selection Sunday.
Yeah, I've said I think this ACC will end up with 3 teams, but there could be some bid stealers.
Carolina scores. Cole Herbert getting some contributions from players other than number 4, and that's huge for them.
If you remember, I mentioned in the first quarter they need perimeter players outside of Chris Gray to step up. One way you can be a productive perimeter player is by dodging from the outside. The other way is to stretch a defense with a hammer of a shot like this. This was the type of shot that William Perry was hitting last year, that Justin Anderson was hitting. And it changed the complexity of this entire Carolina offense, because then teams had to account from the outside instead of just playing pack-it-in ball and forcing Chris Gray only to beat you.
Extends the lead back to 4 goals for Carolina. Tucci now back in trying to win. I take that back. It's not Tucci at the face-off X. Trying to throw some junk out there. Ryan O'Connell, who is a guy who's taken a lot of face-offs in the past for North Carolina, took it. And Wright does a great job. That's why you got to have him in the game 20.
Yes, that's exactly what he will do for you that really they were missing when he was out of the lineup. Matt Wright, for my money, in the middle of the field is an absolute game wrecker. But he's also shown us this year that he can be a lockdown defender and he can play down low. Thought he did a nice job against Connor Schellenberger, who got his points in that game on a Thursday night in March when Virginia played Carolina. But he showed you his ability kind of to be like a chameleon defender, a lot like a Brett Kennedy. Play up top, play down low. So he's down low against Siebold and just takes it. That's a beautiful check. The timing of the check, too. He's the guy. He's the outlier in terms of what Carolina can do defensively.
Turnover on the play. We go the other way with Syracuse. 5th turnover of the day against North Carolina.
We were talking about the ACC and why I think there'll be 3 teams at the end. You get a bid steer, like if Jacksonville doesn't win their conference, the SoCon, or if Georgetown doesn't win their conference, the Big East, for sure, then the ACC is sweating.
Curry, you see the speed. Buttermore, he'll get a shot. Bouncer stopped by Creed. Loose ball.
It just makes it look easy, too. Like, you're staring at a 90-mile-an-hour gasser. Equipment situation with Cordy's.
Yep, if an offensive player loses a piece of his equipment, the whistle sounds immediately and we stop play. Curry, banged up earlier in the game, now back. Extra pass, Buttermore doesn't get through.
Little Army-Cornell update. We were talking
give it to you.
Ivy.
Got it?
17-7.
Army up top?
Yes.
Amazing.
Watch Army. They have 19 seniors. This is the most senior-laden team that Joe Alberici has had.
Here's something else with this, if they win this game too today. Army, you know, it's basically been the last couple of weeks, Kark, I've thought that the Patriot was only a 1-bid league for sure, but if Army with this win, I don't know how much it helps them. Their RPI was about 18 coming into this week.
Yeah.
They may get into the mix as a bubble team for an at-large bid. Maybe this win might be able to help them at least get into the conversation if they don't win the Patriot.
Somewhere Quint Kesenick is yelling at the screen, right? Like, this is right up his alley.
So upset at us for everything. How's your phone not blowing up right now?
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is.
He's in Ann Arbor right now with Anish. They called that Rutgers-Michigan game earlier today.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Yeah,
Michigan came back, but
that NASCAR offense is fun to watch, but they can't win enough face-offs. You know what I'm saying? That's what allowed Michigan to get back in that game.
The inability to win face-offs, you could mask it for a game or two, but can you win 4 games in May if you're not winning draws?
Great. Oh, the over-the-shoulder shot.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's 4 games in May to win a national title. Can you do it without winning draws?
Well, it's a great equalizer, right, too? If you're down, it's how you come back in games. It's how Michigan did it. It's how Syracuse is going to have to stay in this game.
Because if you're not winning draws, you're asking your goalie to make 15 to 20 saves. Perfection in the clear game. You're going to have to find some possessions riding and pressing.
And it's no mere coincidence that when the Irish started winning draws, Notre Dame started playing a lot better and winning a lot more games.
Will Lynch has been a huge story for me in the ACC. Started slow, but had to go against guys like James Riley from Georgetown and Weirman from Maryland, like some of the best guys in the country. But then he found his groove. He settled in as a freshman. He was over 50% against Naso and LaSalle.
Oh, my goodness, Dordovic. I mean, that extra move, that jab step with the left to get free on the right. Come on.
This guy's unbelievable, and he's going to come back to Syracuse for a 6th year because he had an injury season and COVID. But next year, PLL teams are going to be salivating to get Tucker Dordovic because he makes plays all over the field. I mentioned it earlier, the plant foot of Tucker Dordovic is otherworldly. The ability to stop on a dime and to have this kind of a shot with velocity. He's incredible. His motor never stops either, Chris. It's just unbelievable. His passion for the game. This is a team that's 4-7. He plays every single rep like it's his last. Him and Brendan Curry. You look at their ability to empty the tank. And he's an incredible talent. I mean, he has the ability, and he's shown it this season, to get 20 shots in a game. He's hot. It's like, watch out. I was mentioning it before the break, too. I think he's tailor-made for professional lacrosse. Because in professional lacrosse, you can kind of have these hybrid offensive players. He's plug and play because he's shown that he can play midfield. He's playing attack this season. And he's just an incredible athlete that shoots 95, 100 miles an hour with both hands.
6th straight face-off win for Syracuse. Alexo, he can shoot. This is the target, but possession stays with the orange.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to fall on Colin Krieg, even if it's on Cage. Alexo has shown he can score goals, but he had Carter Rice on the other side of the field, and he would have had a 2-on-1 for an easy kind of dunk of a shot, and that's how you're going to beat Krieg. You're not going to beat Krieg when he's looking at you with a clean look.
Back behind to Buttermore. He's working on Connor Marr. Trying to roll back to his right, nothing doing. Now to Siebold behind the cage. Here's Dordovic. He's feeling it.
Egan has done a pretty good job, though. We've seen him dislodge the ball a couple times, but this is a bear of a matchup because Dordovic's one of those guys, like, if you read the GPS after the game, he is going after you all game long. He is not letting up. He's relentless.
Nope, comes with Marr.
You see Matt Wright, he's their top defender. He's on Owen Siebold, so you're asking me, why isn't he on Dordovic? Because he's coming back from injury. I actually think this is a smart move by Joe Bresci to get him acclimated.
Siebold tried the shot. That's going to stay with Syracuse, but only 2 to shoot.
I thought maybe Krieg might have got a touch on it, but I guess not.
Nix that. It's a smart play by the Orange. Dump it into the corner, set up their ride.
You know what I mean by that Matt Wright scenario, though? Like, he's just back in the lineup. You want him on your
Well, you need him on
top guy.
You need him on the middle of the field, too.
Yeah, you do, because he's so critical in the ride. But, you know, I think you just think right off the bat he would defend Dordovic, but that's a smart move.
Another turnover on the clearing attempt. So Syracuse gets an opportunity here with Berkman.
See, Owen Siebold's attacking. Alex Bresci's a short stick D-mid. You have to go to the rack here.
He does, and he scores. You called it, Kark. He recognized it immediately and took advantage.
Alex Bresci is accustomed to operating in space up top, right? So you take him out of his natural comfort zone. He's a defensive midfielder playing up top. Owen Siebold's an attackman. He plays from this spot all the time. So you kind of lose your general type of geography of the field when you're a defensive midfielder, right? You're not used to playing pressure at the goal line. Siebold recognizes that with a nice split at X behind the cage. And even if you're playing good defense, like Siebold is bigger, he can get a shot through Bresci there when he goes past goal line extended. So that's a good move and great recognition for Owen Siebold as an attackman. Like, you get a short stick D-midi, you got to go to the rack.
And now Falk is really dominating at the face-off X. That's 7 straight.
You called it, though, right? Because North Carolina is nicked up right now.
Trying everybody. They just put Ryan O'Connell in for the last couple of them, and Falk is having none of it.
Zach Tucci, Andrew Tyre, both hobbled a week ago against Virginia. Yeah, Graham Schwartz, but Fopp is the type of guy, too. I mean, his senior year, he's been big time. And he's answered the bell.
Buttermore. Oh, Krieg is there low. Now he'll look to go quickly on the clear.
That's the clean look that Krieg gets. If he gets that clean look, it's hard to get him past.
7 saves for Colin Krieg. Carolina's made a couple of mistakes on the clearing, as has Syracuse in this game. It's kind of kept the field tilted in this second quarter in Syracuse's favor, but here in the final minute and a half, Carolina trying to right the ship a little bit offensively as their lead is whittled down to 2.
But you called, I mean, heading into the second half, 2, 3, 4 goal lead for North Carolina is not safe because of the face-off situation.
Schertzinger coming down the alley. Shoots it behind the goal to Egan. Now Tillman. Still plenty of time to shoot, 26 seconds. Tillman looking to dodge. Goal line extended. Now behind the cage, coming around the other side, has his defender hung up. He'll be looking for a cutter. Egan's huge as he tried to come through there. Tillman didn't get free.
Oh, what a play by Kennedy, right? You see that little slap?
Now he's on the move. He can shoot too. Bouncer high and missing the cage.
That's where Kennedy's experience playing in space. This last little slap to advance the ball, which he scooped up himself. That's all his experience of playing in the middle of the field for the last 3.5 years pays dividends.
Timeout on the field, 22.2 left.
I watched my dad absolutely destroy this guy on the field. And after the game, I come running up to him and I was like, Dad, that hit was awesome. Like, can I ever hit somebody that hard? And he said, not if you keep playing T-ball. So I think I was signed up for lacrosse the next day.
Coming up at the half, relaxing with Peacock. Alex Bresci, nephew of head coach Joe Bresci, one of the veterans on this rope unit. You get a chance to meet with him.
Yeah, he's an incredible young man. I love his energy. I love his fire, his toughness. He's got a goal today, playing some defense. Father was a Tar Heel defender in the 90s, Chuck. Just the family, too, right? His Uncle Joe, his coach. It's so cool to see all of it intertwined. T-ball, too, man. I couldn't see you ever playing T-ball. You never charged the mound.
I never played T-ball. My first year playing baseball was pitch. Was pitching, pitch? Yeah, pitch baseball.
Did you charge the mound in that league?
I mean, I wasn't the same animal I was when I was like 8. I had to learn how to be like that.
I only know you as an adult.
Right.
I love you to pieces, but if you press the wrong buttons with Cotter, run for the hills.
Right, well, it's your own fault.
You know what I love too, when I walk somewhere and if people don't know me, I think they think you're my bodyguard.
Right.
You're so jacked.
I respect that because you're so famous.
Yeah, right.
And nobody knows me. Everybody knows who you are. And they're like, who's that guy with Kark? Must be his bodyguard. Look how angry.
Muscle.
Look how angry he looks. Final 15 seconds. Seabold trying to pick up another one. Scores! Curry back from injury, finds the back of the net. That's a juice goal for the Orange with 3.5 left to go in this first half.
When he got hurt in the first quarter, I thought he was done. Just the way, the body language, right, with him and Dordovic. When Dordovic was there for the emotional support. He's back, and he's pounding corners. Look at the accuracy on the shot, too. Sets his feet. That is perfect against a guy like Krieg, because Krieg's a lefty. You shoot to that far pipe. Wow. The fact that he's back and he's back slinging it tells you something about the heart of Brendan Curry, 16 in orange.
3.5 to go. This will burn off the remainder of the clock in this first half. And it does. For a good bit of that first half, Kark, it looked like Carolina was going to run away with it, but Syracuse behind Dordovic, behind Seabold, and then Curry with that last goal, really putting a dent into this North Carolina lead. It's 1 goal as we head to the half here at Dorrance. The Heels on top. You're watching Old Spice College Lacrosse as part of the ACC on ESPN. Look at this crowd today at Dorrance. Beautiful day for lacrosse. Packing the house here in Chapel Hill, and they're being treated to a good game. Carolina up 1 at the half. Paul Carcaterra, Chris Cotter with you. Boy, I tell you what, Carolina looked like they were going to blow doors there for a little while, and then Syracuse, though, said, we're sticking around.
Well, enter Jacob Fopp, right? Their senior faceoff specialist. I think he was fantastic, just rattling off win after win and giving the offense multiple possessions in terms of making a run. But I think we're in the middle of a heavyweight matchup between Tucker Dordevic for Syracuse, the shooter, and Colin Krieg, the goalie from North Carolina. These are two spectacular players that are going head-to-head. And Dordevic, in terms of his shooting ability to plant his foot and let it rip with both hands, is just spectacular. He did it with his left heading to the middle of the field, back to the right hand, and then back to the right hand again. But he is a guy who can shoot with both hands over 95 miles an hour, so he kind of plays with the goalie a little bit. But Colin Krieg has the ability to absolutely steal games. I think he's been fantastic in his sophomore campaign. His patience on shots, his overall understanding of his body positioning, right? He doesn't jump. He's not a jumpy goalie that overreacts. He sits on a shot, and then it's like a firecracker with that top hand.
Andrew Tyre in there for North Carolina. That breaks a string of 7 straight faceoffs won by Syracuse. So that's great news for Coach Bresci that he can put in one of his 2 big guns and get the faceoff to start this second half.
He is, but when you watch him run off the field as he's going to the box right now, he can only jog, right? There's 3 in blue on that right side of the screen who's jogging off. He's very tentative because of the lower body injury from a week ago. And that's been the story, right? You have the 2-headed face-off specialists, Zach Tucci and Andrew Tyre, going against Jacob Fopp.
Nice Fopp's healthy play. How about that from Brandon Aviles? The turnover. 7 turnovers on the day for Carolina. Dordevic. Just a killer in that second quarter.
Yeah, this is a big-time matchup, too, because Dordevic's a volume shooter from Portland, Oregon, going against San Diego's Evan Egan, 2 West Coast Stars lacrosse players who John Ozisi coached both of these guys and many others. The growth of the game out west has been spectacular.
And then Curry from Calvert Hall had a nice pass. Couldn't quite handle it. Seaball stays with Syracuse, though. Curry banged up early in the game, and see him fighting his way back. That's pretty much what he's done all season long. So plenty of time for Q's on this possession. Over 20 seconds on the shot clock. Dordevic. Look at the attention he garners on defense.
Yeah, the double's coming quick. The rules don't really apply defensively to certain players, right? You have to show earlier when 23 in orange has the ball.
Quickly to Dordevic here. Tough angle, shoots with the left, just doesn't get through. I mean, they're all over him right now.
They are. It's obvious, too, at halftime, that's probably an adjustment, right? Like, we are going to show early to him.
Right.
We're going to double him and force him to be a passer.
Kevin Unterstein, the defensive coordinator for North Carolina, I'm sure put it through. That's a really nice pass. So nice, Berkman wasn't even expecting it for Syracuse.
Berkman has to have his head up there, right? You're in transition. 3 in blues at the, or 3 in oranges at the point area of that fast break. He's trying to find a spot to get open, but you have to have your head on a swivel.
A couple of sloppy clears for North Carolina to start this second half. Loose ball, hit. Nice play that time by the orange. The Camo to get the loose ball ahead.
This is sloppy,
yeah,
right?
All over the place,
really
haphazard.
Carolina 3 turnovers already in the first 3 minutes of the second half.
Tucker just says, let's settle this whole thing down a little bit. Gets it to the veteran Curry. Now Buttermore running out of the box. He's been good the last couple of games. They need that. Curry gets his left 3 outside. In the battle for the ball. Look at Krieg get after it.
Good awareness, right?
To right. Bresci. Orange scrambling to get back in the hole. Good job. Here's Cole Herbert, number 1. One of those players at the heels. Need to get going to take some of the pressure off of Gray. He scored a goal in that first half.
You know, when I spoke to Joe Bresci a couple weeks ago, we were talking about all the losses at midfield. I asked him who was the guy that he felt could take that next step. Player with the ball right here, Cole Herbert.
Working on Domi. Now behind to Tillman. Domi will take a swipe as Tillman comes upfield to Gray. Kennedy and Gray. It's been a great matchup all day. 4 in blue, 11 in orange. Gray has it. Back up top to Herbert. 14 to shoot. Carolina scores. Solomon. Get Solomon running out of the box. Get him shooting from the outside.
This is where Syracuse struggled against Cornell. Off-ball defense, right? And showing and sliding and timing the slides. So Cole Herbert has the ball right here, but Alexo like drifts with him. And when 48 in orange drifts with him, he leaves Solomon wide open. And there wasn't a pick there. Alexo has to continue to stay with his man. The support was not needed. Cole Herbert did not beat Dami Oladamoye. And by sliding and showing, just like the Cornell game, they create offense. Premature slides and premature slows create offense.
There you see Solomon talking to Understein, the assistants on this Carolina team. And that, you know what, you talked about in the first half, that's like William Perry's spot from last year. That's where William Perry used to camp out for 4 years here at North Carolina and bury opponents.
But the difference last year, like when Justin Anderson or Tanner Cook had the ball, like they would draw that slide. Cole Herbert didn't warrant a slide there. Dami was not beat.
Right. Now Lucas Quinn.
But it's a good sign. Like you said, it's a good sign because you have guys like Cole Herbert and Nicky Solomon shooting from the outside.
Dordovic on right. Help comes. And then Fryer gets back into the hole. Loose ball. Heels looking to go. Frankenheimer. Back in the corner to Egan. Now Tillman will slow it up. Allow the substitutions to come in. Tillman. To Gray up top. Trying to work a pick. Gets free from Kennedy, so now he's got a short stick on him. Great pass and a goal. Great look from Chris Gray to Lance Tillman, and he buries it on the doorstep.
On the other side of the field, they're sliding early to Tucker Dordovic, right? And they're forcing him to be a passer. You can't force Chris Gray to be a passer, so the slide comes. He's got eyes behind his head, the sixth sense and the vision and awareness to understand where defensive pressure is and then spotting where your teammate and where the soft spot in a defense is. That's where Chris Gray is masterful. Chris Gray does not have to beat his man to be an elite passer. That's hard for a lot of players, right? Because he just pries at the defense. He shows that he's going to the cage. Even if he's not going with conviction, he shows enough.
Tyre earns a face-off violation on that draw. So even though Andrew Tyre can't really run, he's doing what he can at the X against Fopp, getting as many possessions as he can for his Carolina blue team.
You know, we talk about toughness when Curry came back into this game. How about the toughness of Andrew Tyre on one leg, just grinding it out.
Coach Bresci couldn't find a solution at that face-off dot in the first half, and Tyre is doing all he can to help him out here in the second. Tillman got free a minute, just shoots it over the top. See Max Rosa barking out instructions, number 10 for Syracuse, as Tillman got lost a little bit in that shuffle. Now Egan, Dewey Egan. On the pick play, Dami showing, now backs off. Murphy takes Egan. Loose ball, Will Nicholas couldn't handle it, now he picks it up. Shoots with his left, save made, flag down. Bobby Gavin touches up and we get the whistle. Let's hear the call. against Max Rosa. A 32nd man-up opportunity for Carolina. They've struggled a little bit this year, though. Just over 35% man-up.
Yeah, you can't do that. I mean,
he's lucky he just got an interference call, not a cross.
Yeah, it could have been unsportsmanlike.
Right. First man up of the day for either team. Herbert instead makes the extra pass. Kelly, question mark, too high.
So they're shutting off Chris Gray, 4 and blue, getting him out of the play. It's 5-on-4, daring the other 5 Carolina players to create some offense. That's what they think of Chris Gray.
Schertzinger, Kelly, Tillman. He gets a little extra space. Tough angle, scores! Nicky Solomon! Well, that might be his spot from now on.
Wow. You want to shut off Chris Gray, you better be prepared. And you're daring the other 5 players on the Carolina extra man unit to make a play. Well, from the outside today, in the 3rd quarter specifically, Nicky Solomon is shredding it.
We are set up for arguably the greatest season of professional lacrosse history.
We're in this together for 48 minutes. Start to finish and beat them.
PLL on ESPN this summer draft about 3.5 weeks ago. Here's your big board, Carg. What are teams looking for as we see Chris Gray #1 to try and build their teams?
Yeah, I think versatility. I think guys like Chris Gray and Virginia's Matt Moore, who's #2, can play attack or midfield. Unless you're a Grant Ament type of quarterback who plays for the Archers where you give the keys to the offense to him, you want versatility, right? You want to be able to play like chameleon-type offensive players. Brendan Curry, certainly a pro, is ready. I have him at #11. This is not a mock draft. That's just best available. There's so many great offensive players in college lacrosse right now. I think it's attack and midfield heavy. But those are players that are going to have to switch positions. And when you look at the PLL, a lot of players have in the past made that jump from attack to midfield or midfield to attack.
Carolina scored 3 straight, so Syracuse trying to stem that tide, and Tucker Dordevic right now allowing the substitution patterns to fill out. He's on Matt Wright, healthy. This is a great matchup. How healthy is Wright? Can he stay with Dordevic? Gets a little bit of step on him. Now Curry. Curry's on Marr. They'll swap. Now Dordovic's on Marr, but he's shutting him off.
Normally, I'd be really comfortable with this matchup if I'm UNC, but not with the health of Matt Wright. I think Curry could have maybe even tested him a little.
Right, a little over and back. Unforced error from Syracuse as Curry tried to force the pass a bit. Gray, oh, look out. Oh! Initially defended, but Gray with the strength and the poise to not let that affect him. And he beats Gavin for the hat trick.
This is incredible. This move has a little bit of everything in it, right? He catches the ball, the little hitch at first, he thinks he has the jump shot, but he feels Murphy's presence. So in the middle of that jump shot, right there, he decides, well, you know what? I'm going to continue to get to the middle of the field, A, to free up my hands, but get away from Murphy's pesky stick. What a play by Chris Gray.
Yet another hat trick for one of the all-timers, and you saw the all-time scoring list, now trailing Lyle Thompson by 10 points. Possession won by North Carolina, but can they turn it into a fruitful possession? Loose ball. Murphy snags it out of the air. Here's Kennedy. That's the guy you wanted. You wanted in his cross. Veteran. Punt return. Still on his feet. Finds Dordevic. Oh! What a play by Kennedy and Dordevic! That's brilliant.
We just witnessed 2 incredible fast break goals by point men, meaning the first guy to touch the ball from the attack spot Kennedy is in his comfort zone. That's where he made plays throughout the course of his career, in the middle of the field. But both guys throw a hard plant foot jab to get the defense to bite. He gets Matt Wright to completely bite on his right hand. And then drops it in the dirt. Incredible back-to-back plays and awareness by two elite offensive players that will be playing lacrosse for the next 10, 12 years.
Falk. Beats O'Connell. Can Syracuse get another one here quickly?
That's why at 10-6, if I'm the Syracuse staff, I'm not panicking. What I will want to see, though, in the settled offense, like, how are you going to counter if you're Gary Gate and Pat Marks, these quick slides from UNC? Like, what's your counter here? Because they are going to slide to Tucker Dordevic so quickly. So if he's not going to run through the entire defense, he's going to have to be a passer or be the initiator of the offense where they score two away from his original pass.
Inside of Seybold, who couldn't beat Krieg. A run to the end line, and it's won by that Carolina defense. Dominic Pryor got there first, so good hustle to cause the turnover. Here's Pryor carrying it across the midfield line. Now the Heels will sub out their defenders. Bring in Herbert. Nicky Solomon. And Kelly. It's interesting, isn't it? You got Solomon and Kelly coming out of running out of the box.
I like it, though. Both these guys can shoot, right? With time and room. Now you're kind of playing by their strengths if you put them up at the midfield and ball rotation gives them those step downs.
Greg. Kennedy hangs with him. Oh, he almost had a no-look to Herbert, who couldn't quite find it, and it's going to be a turnover.
So good at just just those quick passes. I don't think Herbert even knows coming to him.
11 turnovers on the day for the Heels. Gray riding. Nice job that time by Quinn to get free. Always looking to Tucker.
Yeah, you hear him screaming, shorty, shorty, Owen, meaning Owen Seybold, give me the ball, but Carolina switches back.
Now Dordovic's got his defender, Egan, hung up. Look for a cutter. Got Seybold in front along with Berkman. Nothing doing that time. Magnan couldn't quite find the range. Tucker, defender lost his footing.
He's so smooth. He's something, right?
Yeah, we've had a little bit of rain too, so the grass, as beautiful as this field is, can be a little slick sometimes if you do get some rain. And we had some earlier today, we had some yesterday as well. Dordevic, his defender, just breaking ankles out there. He's back to Carolina.
Must win, right? You can say that for both these teams. Carolina 7-4. Today's game, and they have Notre Dame, then Duke. 10-7 gets them, or 10-4 gets them in.
Right. Look at that play by Sam Alexo, too. Right in front of his positional coach, defensive coordinator Dave Petramala. Loved seeing that. Causing the turnover from Will Nicholas.
And you think Cuse, if they were to run the table, go from forward 7 to 7-7, they have to be in bubble consideration,
They
right?
are, yep.
Beating every ACC team in that case.
We've got a lot of lacrosse left to be played, too. There are bid stealers out there, potentially 2 or 3 conferences you could have it. Got to see how the Ivy League plays out. A lot of teams are still in it there. Krieg. Robs Corsi.
He's too good to try to sneak one in near pipe. And near pipe against a lefty, when you're driving up the left-hand side, that's almost impossible to get that past Colin Krieg. You got to shoot low and away. If you're Matteo Corsi, you make a nice move, but you cannot shoot to the near pipe or towards his head. He's too good. His body positioning is near flawless there, and he's a lefty.
Herbert. Looking for Solomon coming out of the box. It's on Dami. See, there you have now. You have a former attackman in Solomon who's played years at attack here at North Carolina. On Dami, who's a short stick D-mid. Same with Kelly. Back up top. Now you have Carter Rice on Nicky Solomon. He shoots off the outside of the pipe. That'll reset the shot clock.
Fresh 60. Yep.
Solomon. Head up, goal line extended. Now finds Gray behind the net. Got Kennedy hung up.
You hear Petro barking.
Gray comes upfield. Shoots. Gavin is there. Fifth save for Gavin. Now Rice running. Gets tripped up at midfield. No call.
That's a good no call.
Yep, picks up the ball. Is able to keep the ball in possession of Syracuse. So a good job by Carter Rice. Dordovic, he's been starting the offense a lot right here from this spot. Up to Buttermore. Curry. Inside. That's a goal. That's too easy for Burt Whistle.
The two players who will demand attention and slides for Syracuse, 23, Tucker Dordovic, 16, Brendan Curry. The speed dodging and the two-handed game from 16 in orange is what separates him. So he has a short stick on him. North Carolina has to slide. You see how quickly they respect his dodging ability. Burt Whistle does a nice job following the slide. Here's the story now, though. Jacob Fopp is doubling up North Carolina with the 12 face-off wins to their 6.
Yeah.
That could be something.
More possessions. Tyre wanted a call, didn't get it. And another goal by Syracuse. That time it was Seabold.
One team has Jacob Fopp. One team has two very good face-off guys who are both nicked up. This is a huge advantage. That's why I said in the second quarter, if this is a 4-goal game in the second half, the game is not over because of Jacob Fopp. To make it, take it, Seabold just deals with that pressure from Matt Wright and shoots through him. This is a monster story with Jacob Fopp at the X. He's just been dominant.
Coach Petromala, talking to him before the game, said Fopp is one of the most competitive kids on this team. Wishes he had about 20 just like him. Tyre, speaking of competitive, on about 1.5 wheels. Wins that draw. Now he's looking for help. He shoots it. Just as this horn sounds to end this third quarter. Man, we had a good third quarter. Syracuse came back in that second quarter just before the half to make it a game, and they've kept it close throughout. Final stanza coming your way. The Stars have come to the fore. Lots to play for. We've got 1 quarter left. Cotter and Clark back with you. Start of the fourth quarter here in Dorrance, North Carolina, up 2 over Syracuse. And this one promises to go right down to the wire, as Jacob Fopp has owned the faceoff X, although Andrew Tyre has done yeoman's work for North Carolina here in the second half. But that's a big deal because it's getting possessions for the Orange, and that's why North Carolina cannot pull away from Syracuse in this game.
Yeah, I think Jacob Fopp has been awesome today, but he's been awesome all season, right? He was a guy that had his ups and downs in his college career, but his senior year, he saved the best for last. And now when the season's on the line,
it is.
To have a guy like Fopp, I think that just gives you some confidence in this fourth quarter. Even you're down by a couple, you just feel like you could have the momentum. You saw how quickly they scored 2 goals because of Jacob Fopp.
He's taken all but 18 of the draws this year for Syracuse.
That's a good look at it right there. But
Tyre
Tucci's back in.
Yeah, Tucci's back in.
Tucci and Tyre, both one-legged.
Look at Tucci lifts his way off.
He barely can walk.
Possession to Syracuse. There's been a game of runs as we start this fourth quarter. 5-0 North Carolina running the first. Cuse 4-1 in the second. 4-0 Carolina in the third, and Syracuse has been on a 3-0 run to end that third.
Oh, they got to finish that. See, Dordovic, you remember I told you he needed to turn into a feeder. He did on that.
Trouble here, though. Curry finds Dordovic. Krieg goes down and makes the save.
If you're Syracuse, you have to capitalize on those opportunities when the entire team's looking at 23 in orange. The slide is there. Cordes is wide open. Just can't handle that pass by Dordovic. And the second opportunity, but when you're staring down Colin Krieg, like I told you, if he has a clean look at you, and that's Dordovic, 95, 100 miles an hour, he's an elite stopper. You have to move him. You have to move him by ball movement, by quick dodges and change his direction. Those step-down shots are tough to get past him.
Kelly on the short stick. Working a two-man with Gray behind the goal. To Gray. He's open and he scores!
Colin Krieg, the best player on that side of the field for Carolina all season long, gives another opportunity to the best player on the offensive end for Carolina, one of the most prolific scorers in NCAA history. Krieg stares it down, gobbles it up. Kelly, who's been all over the field as a midfielder today, goes behind the cage, his natural spot, and gives it to the chameleon Chris Gray, who could do just about anything.
How did he get open there, Kark?
He's so good off the ball.
Kennedy was all over.
I know, but he is so good off the ball. That's what people don't realize with Chris Gray. They think, oh, quarterback handles the ball all the time. He is incredible off the ball, and that's why he's going to be such a good pro in the PLL. You put him around other playmakers, he is fantastic off the ball.
Now we had a quick restart. And I think Syracuse, or North Carolina rather, may have gotten lucky. They didn't get a delay of game there. Violation on the faceoff went to Syracuse. Officials showing good restraint. Just started over. Here we go, Quinn. To Corsi. Over to Magnet. Now to Dordovic, right on him. There's Seabold. Burtwhistle has a goal in this game already. Seabold tries to use a screen. Can't get it on target. He'll stay with Syracuse, 38 to shoot. Now Quinn working on Frankenheimer. He shoots. Krieg sees it all the way. Heals with 6 seconds to get it across the midfield line, and Krieg thought he would do it all himself. Instead, he gives it away, and it's going to be a goal for Syracuse. Burtwhistle makes Krieg pay for that mistake, and Syracuse still hanging in there.
You see him on me, that's me. He'll step up, he'll answer the bell. He'll steal one later in this game. But this is a big, big mistake. I tell you, if you throw the ball to the middle of the field, if you're in distress, right? That's the last spot you want to do it. If you're Colin Krieg there, if you feel like there might be some pressure, just throw it to the attack zone. Let him fight for a 50-50 ball. And Burtwhistle catches that, and I'll tell you what, those empty netters are not easy, right? Because you got to get that shot off right away.
And it's a big target staring at you in the face.
Exactly. It's like, if I don't make this,
I'll never hear the end of it. He did make it, and it's back to a 2-goal disadvantage now for Syracuse, but Carolina, you know, Syracuse has won 2 out of the 3 faceoffs, about 65% in this game. So if Carolina can just win every now and then, keep it close, I think that'd be a big win for Bresci and company. Herbert gets by his defender. He shoots off the pipe.
The net might have moved there, right? That was a crazy looking shot in terms of how the goal responded to that, right?
Right. It was such a heavy shot, it moves the goal. Kennedy did a great job on that ground ball. Here comes Rice. He can run. Instead, he gets it to Seabald. 1 extra pass. Oh, Burt Whistle too high.
Burt Whistle. Catch it by your ear. Get Krieg to move as you see that. No, that was all pipe.
Right.
But the net moved, which made me think could have been a goal. But Burt Whistle has that on the bottom right. Catch it by your ear. Get him to move, right? That lower hand shot there.
Dordovic hits Krieg up high. Big ground ball picked up by North Carolina. Marr gets it to Gray. He'll shoot too high. That shot might have been deflected. His stick might have been hit on that follow through.
There's 2 players where defensively the rules don't apply the same. You have Dordovic on one side, Gray on the other, because they're outside shooters with serious velocity with both hands. So you have to know when Chris Gray's the next man in ball rotation, you're pressing out just a little bit more because he can those shots.
Tillman, quickness. What am I? He got a little too high on that pick. Nothing called. Gray, well, he really thought about that instead. Schertzinger will shoot. Gavin is there for the stop. Wadamoye gets it to Seabald. End-to-end action here in this 4th quarter.
You feel like the moment is big for both of these teams, right? Both these teams know, man. The season's on the line.
Here's Buttermore.
Come back.
Now Frankenheimer's on Seabald. He's going to like this matchup. Got knocked off his feet. Stays with Syracuse. Dordovic. Up top. Finds Curry. Inside, ball's loose. Krieg picks it up.
I'm watching Matt Wright, 20 in blue. Best defender on the team. One of the best in the country. Coming off an injury. Watching him move laterally doesn't look the same. He's on Dordovic right now. Has the ball in the middle of the field. One of his strengths are his feet. How quick he is. Carolina offside.
Yeah, offside. That's a big mistake.
Monster turnover.
Unforced error again. Here comes Curry. Full head of steam. Shoots with his left. Off the pipe. Furious action right in front of the goal. This is really dangerous. Tucker Dordovic. It doesn't go in. Frankenheimer. Now North Carolina has a chance. Syracuse does a great job of getting back in the hole.
That was nuts.
Paul Barton's going to have to slow things down. How dangerous was that with the ball in front of the crease? And Dordovic with it in his cross.
Barton, 24 in blue as a freshman. He even knew, right? Most freshmen are like, guys, slow it down. Like freshmen, you just want to survive in advance of play. He knew by the way things were unfolding. Chill.
Crazy sequence. Tillman. Here's Kelly. Working on a shorty. Gets a step. Tries to come back to his left. Nothing there. Great. Working on Kennedy. Back to Kelly. "20 seconds to shoot. Solomon down the alley. Has no angle. Schertzinger. Look out. Scores!
That's the third of the day for Nicky Solomon, and Coach Bresci and Coach Metzbauer, the offensive coordinator, mixing things up, putting Jacob Kelly and Nicky Solomon with some midfield runs, giving them some space, some breathing room, taking the pressure off them. And Solomon making the most of every opportunity. Off ball. The Heels are up by 3.
Old Spice College Lacrosse is brought to you by Old Spice. Smell ready for anything.
Jack Nicklaus's grandson, Will Nicholas, celebrating senior day with his parents here today. And, this Carolina team, they don't want these last 3 games of the season to be their final games. But they got some work to do if they want to get to the NCAA tournament.
They do. You see the 0-3 in the ACC. The beauty of it is after this game, Notre Dame, North Carolina, and Duke all play each other. I think 2 of those teams are going to emerge along with Virginia to give this ACC 3 teams in the NCAA tournament, unless we talked about those bid stealers, right? If Jacksonville doesn't win their conference,
wow. Yeah, this is going to be against North Carolina, and this is going to be a minute. It looked like Tyler Schwartz got up high. And Max Rosa took it right under the chin. The officials are just determining how long that Schwartz is going to sit in the box for this one, as you see Gate.
43 blue. Cross check. 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Full time, 2 minutes. This is huge.
Egregious.
Right.
Not your typical cross check, and the referees have the flexibility to call that a 1 minute or 2 time served, right?
I mean, you got to be responsible.
You have to be. That's the right call. The officials got it right. That was high, right by the head, and should be a 2-minute infraction, time served, meaning not released.
Right. So here's the situation. First man up of the day for Syracuse, and they could have it the entire 2 minutes, no matter how many goals they score.
And they also have Jacob Fopp if they do score, right, who's been excellent at the face-off X. So if they score a goal here, they've got Fopp.
Right. First things first, got to score the first one, though. Otherwise, momentum goes all to North Carolina. Skip pass in front. Seabold robbed by Krieg. Oh, and he didn't win the battle to the end line, though, so that was a huge play by Syracuse to keep possession.
Do you remember after the turnover by Krieg, I said he'd steal one?
Right.
He just did.
Syracuse keeps possession, though. That was huge. Dordovic to his left. He'll shoot too high. Pete Fiorini, of all people, making a huge play to keep possession with Syracuse. Curry up top. Here's Fiorini. Buttermore, skip pass to him. He'll shoot too high. Still a minute 20, man up on the unreleasable penalty to Schwartz. Seabold, a couple of goals today. Here's Dordovic. Now Curry. Inside, Fiorini scores! Just the 2nd goal of the year for the man-up specialist, so that's 1, Clark.
Gary Gates clapping, and he knows he has Jacob Fopp with a full time served 2-minute penalty with over a minute left. The Orange could be on the extra man right away. Curry with the patience, too. I like this feed by Curry because he lets the cut mature from Fiorini, who started all the way on that left side. He understood, okay, the defense eventually is going to have to pass him through, and he found that seam where the pass-through actually had an opening.
Fopp has won 16, lost only 8 today. Wins another.
See, this is an interesting scenario because they put Aviles, who's a short stick defensive midfield, on a man-up face. They have to use a timeout. They want to get their personnel on there. Another option could have been just going offensive heavy on that face-off, like saying we're going to win and die with Jacob Fopp. But if he wins the draw, we only have to sub him off, right? They had to sub 2 or 3 players off on that one.
Instead, Syracuse uses one of their 2 timeouts here in the second half. 56 seconds left in this unreleasable man up for Syracuse. They have 1 goal to cut the deficit to 2 goals. You look at the odds to make the tournament by win total, which is a little odd because some teams play more games than others. The Ivy League, Notre Dame, they play fewer games typically, and they do this year as well.
Yeah, look at the jump when they go from 8 to 9. And then 10. So 10 would have them winning Syracuse, Notre Dame, and
winning out
Duke, right?
Winning today at Notre Dame and at Duke to finish the season on the coming up with the I guess it's the first weekend of May.
And the ACC has that triangle with Notre Dame, Carolina, and Duke all playing each other.
Yep. Yeah, that's the thing with these teams like Notre Dame, Duke, North Carolina. You get the sense that they all need to win out, but if they beat each other up, how will that affect it?
I think Duke, with their win on Virginia, might give them that 1 mulligan. You know, you don't want to tell your locker room that, right? But that Virginia win is big. That's a top 10 win.
So if Duke beats North Carolina but loses to Notre Dame and the Irish win out, it really looks like it's Duke and Notre Dame being the 2nd and 3rd team out of the ACC.
See that. Unless the bid steal, right? And I mentioned Jacksonville to the SoCon. The other I was going to tell you right before Max Rosa got that cross-check was Georgetown and the Big East.
For sure.
Georgetown's getting in no matter what.
No question.
So if they don't win the Big East, that's a 2-bid league. And then the ACC,
it's a real possibility. Denver could beat them. Villanova could beat them. Dordovic. Buttermore. That's Seabold. Dordovic. Behind the back. Curry scores!
Wow! He's a senior. He was hurt in the first quarter. And he's not going away. He's part of the last 2 goals for the Orange. The assist to Fiorini on the 10th goal. This time, Dordovic behind the back. Curry, plant, rip, and shred.
Now all eyes at the dot. It's tire for North Carolina.
Still have 37 seconds left.
That's why this face-off is massive. As we've gone under 6 minutes to play in this game, this is 2 goals on this unreleasable 2-minute man up for Syracuse. Battling. Loose ball. Picked up by the Cuse. A chance here for Vilas. Good heavens.
You're extra man. You're extra man, right? You think you have numbers, but you're extra man. And I think in the confines of a regular game, right, you're okay with that, but you're extra man. Because if you sub out, if you're a Vilas, you put Dordovic and Curry in a team with an advantage.
Yeah.
And I've said it all along. If you stare down Colin Krieg and he's looking at you,
right,
without ball movement, and it's just you, and it's a clean look, he's incredible.
Kark, you've also had a man-down defense that's been running around for the last 2 minutes, chasing. Curry, just misses. As now Carolina has whittled down the remainder of that 2-minute man down. They gave up 2 goals. It was costly, but it could have been a lot worse. They still have the lead. Gray, that doesn't happen very often. Missed the target when he was unchecked.
You got to press out on Chris Gray, 4 and blue. He can catch and shoot all in one motion.
Egan was loud in the first quarter, quiet since. Herbert got his left hand free. Tried to dump pass it inside of Tillman. It's a turnover. Murphy. Look at Gray riding. Murphy gets rid of it, though. This is dangerous. Here's Rice. Seabold, the extra pass. Score! Bird whistle!
Do you see in transition what the extra pass does? Against an elite goaltender like Colin Krieg, you are not going to stare him down and be successful. The quick passing Chris Gray relentless on the ride. Murphy finds a way to corral that ball, and then the freshman Carter Rice knows this isn't my shot. Seabald with the one more. All that quick passing makes Colin Krieg have to rotate in the cage, and you get the look you want if you're Syracuse. That was incredible, selfless ball movement by the Orange.
First time we are even in this game since we were 1-1 early in the first quarter. The Syracuse fans who have made the trip showing a little bit of love for their team. This place is electric right now, all tied at 12 apiece, 4:15 to play. We had a great day today and a full packed house here at Dorrance, and they have been treated to a great lacrosse game.
Look, Maryland's been absolutely trucking everyone. The Orange hung with them in the Dome. Army, they had a lead. They let it go. The Johns Hopkins game, 8 pipes, didn't capitalize. Then the Albany and the Cornell losses. It tells you about the character of this team. When the wheels were falling off the bus, the effort never wavered. I always said, every single game, they brought a lunch pail mentality except for Notre Dame.
And they just got bamboozled in that game. They were down so much so early.
And this penalty earlier by Tyler Schwartz, 43 in blue, up high, 2 minutes, unreleasable, gives Syracuse life. 2 goals that Jacob Fopp wins at the faceoff dot. They didn't go away. Now Syracuse 4-7, facing maybe the worst season in program's last 30 to 40 years. 2007, they only won 5 games. They heard the noise. They didn't stop fighting. Gary Gate in year 1 and Dave Petramalo, the defensive coordinator, you got to give them credit. These are 2 programs, North Carolina and Syracuse. The pride and the tradition. Led by 2 players, or former players, who are now the head coaches, Joe Bresci and Gary Gate.
Think of the battles they had as players in college in the late 80s, 1990.
Yeah, both 1990 grads. They played in the national semifinals. Bresci was the ACC Player of the Year, right?
He was the ACC Athlete of the Year.
Yeah, Athlete of the Year. Gary Gate's the best lacrosse player of all time. They played when Syracuse went undefeated and won a national title in 1990. Leading their programs now. Must-win territory for both.
Great job by Tyre. Fopp initially won the draw, and Tyre knocked it out of the stick.
When you watch North Carolina win a face-off by Tucci or Tyre, and you watch them run off the field, you just say, wow, to yourself. Like, wow, how are these guys doing it? We went to practice yesterday and watched them.
Right.
They barely could walk.
Battling to give their teams what they can here in this situation. Coming into that face-off, Cuse had won 5 of 6 in this 4th quarter. Oh, Egan wide open in front, couldn't handle the pass. And we go the other way quickly. Alexo to Seabald. Will he look to move quickly? No, he'll wait, he'll hold it up. Burt Whistle waits for the substitution patterns to play out. Buttermore coming in. Dordovic up top. Curry comes into the game for the Cuse. As does 29, Tyler Cordes. Right, knocked it out of Dordovic's cross initially, but Tucker tracks it down. Under 3 to play. Buttermore over to Curry. Curry has the freshman Barton on him. Now he gets a shorty. Let's see if he goes to work on Marr. He does with the left, doesn't get to the goal. You can just feel the tension here at Dorrance. Everything on the line for both these teams. Dordovic got free. Krieg couldn't see it. Hits off the pipe, but it'll be a fresh 60. Krieg never saw that, I don't think. Syracuse fans are going to hear that pipe noise in their nightmares this year. Curry. He'll shoot. Scores! On the run! First lead since the first minute of the game for the Orange.
bench. First quarter, he was injured. We thought we'd never see him again in this game. He responds with 2 goals and 1 assist. In this quarter alone, Dewey Egan, the freshman, can't handle it, gives Cuse some life. This is a 5th-year senior on a true freshman. He is going to go to the rack against Barton, whether it's a long stick or not. The speed dodging ability and how he shoots on the run has been his secret sauce since day 1 at Cuse. And when his team needs the most, 16 in orange.
Now Tucci at the face-off dot for North Carolina. It's a 4-0 run for Syracuse. They have retaken the lead. Final 2 minutes. Marr gives chase, gets possession to Krieg. Clear is huge for North Carolina. They've got 10 seconds to get it past the midfield line. Krieg's gonna need help. He's gonna take it himself. Big collision. He stays on his feet and keeps possession. Where will the help come from? He rolls. Timeout by North Carolina. That is unbelievable. That is so good.
The Carolina bench wanted a penalty. Krieg was going to the rack.
Bresci's hot. His nephew Alex trying to contain his head coach
Back.
so he doesn't
Back.
get a call against him. He's hot.
This game's been amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Remember the mistake Krieg made when he made the errant pass at the middle
Yes.
field? He wasn't going to make that mistake again.
No, he's going to take it himself.
Let's see why Coach Bresci's so hot.
They wanted a high hit on
Oh, that
Lenzo.
should have been 2. It didn't look like it initially, but it looked like he got the stick up at the chin level underneath the helmet of Krieg. Bresci may have a point, but either way, he's got possession, and he's down a goal with 1:43 to go.
This game's had a little bit of everything. Incredible goaltending. Shooting with guys like Solomon and Chris Gray for North Carolina. And Brendan Curry in the 4th quarter of this game has been tagging corners.
At some point in time, the ball is good and
We'll take a listen to Dave Petramala.
Okay, as he goes in, let's stretch out a little bit so we can't get a run at us. All right, watch the mumbos here. Watch them flat 1-4 run. If 9 goes behind, let's make 9 this with his right hand. Understood? Go get it.
2 things I heard there. Stretch out, because he knows the shooters like Gray, but the mumbo going from the inside out in that exchange, right? Like an inside player might flush out to the outside to give some ball movement. The big thing for me is how does Syracuse respond after the Cornell game? They were in this situation on Monday night, and they slid prematurely. They wanted to support the Dodgers in terms of the opposing team and slide early. It cost them with assisted goals. They have to trust their matchups and not slide early.
And here's Kelly, you heard Coach talk about it. Stole it out of the air! And he couldn't connect with Curry. Kakemo, the freshman, made an unbelievable play, but he couldn't find Curry on the other side on the clearing attempt, so it goes back to North Carolina.
That was part of those directions by Coach Dave Petramala, the defense coordinator. Press out, right? Active sticks. He makes that play, but the costly exchange.
Herbert, as Carolina tries to clear, they do to Tillman. No timeouts remaining for Coach Bresci.
Remember, Carolina has Chris Gray. That's all you need to know, right? Carolina has Chris Gray.
Kelly. Tillman scores!
Lance Tillman has been quiet this afternoon, known for jitterbug-type quickness, not range like that. So they're pressing out on Chris Gray. They don't want Chris Gray to get the ball. So Jacob Kelly comes up, and there's that early show, right? They slide to Jacob Kelly, Kelly understands that. The next man in the rotation is Lance Tillman, and a lot like Gray, you feel like they're going to shoot it initially, but then he increases his angle, goes upfield, and beats Gavin.
Tillman and Fopp. I should say Tucci and Fopp. Loose ball. Won by Carolina, and it's won by Tyler Schwartz, who had the 2-minute penalty called against him, picks up a huge ground ball in the middle of the field.
If you're Syracuse defensively, you have to trust your matchups and time your slides. Against Cornell Monday night, they slid too quickly and prematurely. You can haunt them again, Cotter.
Final half minute. Kelly. Two-man game with Gray. Now gets it to Gray. Comes upfield. He'll shoot and score! You gotta be kidding me!
It's the magic of Chris Gray. Could end his career the most prolific scorer in Division I lacrosse history. And I said about 2 minutes ago, UNC has Chris Gray. And Zach Tucci on one leg ties up Jacob Fopp enough for Schwartz to get this ground ball. They use the pick game, frees up Gray just enough. And the jumper, the patented move of 4 and blue, drops it.
15.3 to go. Fopp. He's had an outstanding day. He's got to win this one. Tucci will counter for Carolina. Tucci wins possession and keeps it up in the air. It's a free ball. Clock winding down. Moore with possession. Can he hold it for the whistle? He does. Amazing, amazing game, an amazing finish. Gut-wrenching loss once again for Syracuse, but they played their hearts out until the very end.
That man right there, if you've been around the program, he shows you what greatness is all about. But at the end of the day, not all face-offs are created equal. He's hobbling on one leg right now. Zach Tucci. Statistically, Syracuse owned the day. But the biggest face-off of the season for North Carolina, on one leg, Zach Tucci finds a way. Unbelievable game, Cotter. Unbelievable game.
Tyre and Tucci won the last 4 face-offs of the game. Tip your cap to them and tip your cap to Chris Gray. He was ready for anything today. Brought to you by Old Spice. 5 goals, an assist, and the ultimate game winner for the Heels.
He's a chameleon. He finds a way in the ride game, off ball, dodging, shooting from the outside. Chris Gray is the ultimate attackman because he never forces action. Always responds off of defensive pressure, and at the end of the game, ice in his veins. The jumper, the extra step upfield, gives Carolina hope. They're not out, Cotter.
Heels next Thursday at Notre Dame on the ACC Network. Then they finish at Duke. Imagine if that one has everything riding on it. Heels still alive. Coach Bresci, obviously, with a lot of congratulatory handshakes for Syracuse. What a game for the Orange. For Paul Carcaterra and our entire crew, I'm Chris Cotter. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you next time.